Hello everyone, welcome back to our Python FastAPI series. In this lecture, we will talk about tuples and immutability in Python. This is a very important concept because tuples are commonly used in FastAPI responses, configurations, and return values where data should not change. So, let's start. So, what is a tuple? According to Python documentation, a tuple is an ordered collection of items similar to a list, but with one major difference. A tuple is immutable. That means once a tuple is created, its values cannot be changed. Tuples are written using parentheses. If you see this variable user, here we declare a tuple with these values. You see, Alice is the name and the password is the password value. So this tuple basically stores a name and a password. Now let's compare tuple versus list. So list uses square brackets and are mutable. That means list can be changed. We can modify the list items or list values. But tuples use parentheses and are immutable. That means we can't change that values. Let me explain this with a concrete example. So let me declare one list also. Okay, so I can declare like normal list. Okay, so if now I want to change the user list, it's possible. Okay, so if I want to change like the zero index value to Bob. Okay, so now you see it's changing the username Alice to Bob. And now if I print this user list, you can see, oh no, clear. So if I run this program, so let me first go to the directory module, and now if I run the program Python lesson 1.py, you can see the list are changed. But if you want to change the tuple, okay, so if I want to change the tuple, for example, with the 0 Bob, this will raise a type error because tuples are immutable. Let me run this. You see, it's creating an error. Tuples are also ordered, so we can access elements using indexing. So let me show you how we can access tuple values. For example, if I want to access user with the zero index, so what will what it will give us? It will give us the first one, I mean the zero index value Alice. So let me run this program. You see, it's showing the correct output. If I change the index and again run the program, it's showing the index value 1, I mean 0 1. So its value is password, so it's showing the password. So now the question is, why tuples are immutable? Immutability provides data safety. So when Python documentation talks about immutability, it means the object's value cannot change after creation. So this prevents accidental modification and it makes code more predictable. In FastAPI, this is useful for fixed configuration values and database record structures and constant API response formats. Now I'm going to talk about some common tuple functions. So let's look at two built-in functions that work with tuples as described in Python documentation. First one is length. So we used this function before. It's basically used to identify the length of a list or length of a tuple. So if I want to identify the length of this user, let me now, if I run this program, you can see it's showing the length of these tuples. This function works same as list and as for strings. Now I'm going to talk about one more function. It's called count. So what it does? So if we want to count something, for example, if in the tuple that we want to count how many times Alice was in the user tuple, so it will give you the number. For example, if I use count and if I pass here Alice, okay, so what it will do? C-O-U-N-T count. Okay, so my declaration is wrong. So basically what I have to do is like user.count. Yeah, exactly. So I have to use this user.count. So in this function, in this variable and dot count, and what I told here, I tell Python that you have to count the value of Alice in the user's tuple. So if I now run this program and you see it's one, but if I add more Alice here and rerun the program again, user.count. So Alice, oh, it's wrong. Now if I run, you see it's showing 2. It's showing the exact count. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the function index. Index method returns the first index of a value. So for example, if I just print another function with like user dot index, and if I like I want to know the index of this value, of this password value, so what's its index is 012. So let me run it. You see it's showing the 2, but if I use Alice, it will show the index 0. Okay, so you see 0. Let me just uh, comment this line, and then you will be more clear. So if I run this program, you see it's showing the index 0. So what it's showing is showing the index of the tuple. We can use this also in any kind of list if you want. Now I'm going to talk about tuple packing and tuple unpacking. So packing is exactly what it sounds like. It is the process of taking several individual values and packing them into a single container in the tuple. So interestingly, Python is so clever that it does not even require the parentheses to do this. This is known as implicit packing. So let me explain you the code. So what I'm trying to say. So let me declare one variable without parentheses. So okay, 30. So I declare one variable like this, and now if I print the point, let me print the point and see what it does. You see it's showing the tuple. Okay, it's showing the tuple. So it's basically, think of this as putting a set of coordinates or a user's profile into a single sealed envelope to be passed around your API. So now if I want to unpacking a tuple, what I have to do? Now suppose that envelope arrives at a new function. You need to get the values out to use them. This is unpacking. So Python allows you assign the contents of a tuple to individual variables in a single line. The only rule is the number of variable on the left must match the number of items in the tuple. So let me unpack uh, out this point tuple. Okay, so if I declare like x, y, and z, because we have three values here, so we have to declare three variable here, x, y, and z. The number of variables must match with the number of items. Okay, so if I declare this, and now if I just print x, let me first comment this, and now if I run this program, you can see it's showing 10, x, y, z equal point, and now I can access x, and x values is 10. Okay, now if I want to access like the whole point, it's also possible. Okay, it's also possible. So for example, x, y, z, if I want to print this, so you see I'm getting all the values 10, 20, 30. This is called tuple unpacking. So why this is powerful? uh, Swapping and fast api. So why do we care? First, it leads to elegant logic. In the other languages, swapping two variables requires a temporary third variable, but in python we use packing and unpacking, and it's very easy. And in fast api you will often see this when handling database results. Your database might return a tuple representing a row, for example id, username, or email, but you can unpack that row immediately into meaningful variable names rather than referring to confusing indexes like row 0 or row 1, like that. So we can just use this kind of techniques, which will by which you can immediately unpack the value in the meaningful variables. So that's all from today. Hopefully I'm going to talk about in new topic in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.